What number would you say just 4 months later is your dry mouth and dry eyes? Because we do not see remission or regression with that clinically with conventional medicine.
I'd say it's about a 4.
Level 4, that's 50% less in just 4 months. Hey everyone, today we are interviewing Sarah. She has had a 20-year struggle with symptoms related to Sjogren's with dry eyes, dry mouth, Raynaud's, hypothyroidism, and then developed severe POTS-like symptoms prior to joining this program. I'd love for you guys to see where she is today, just 4 months after the program. I'm Maggie MD. I am a functional and holistic medicine physician and the creator of Transform and the Transform protocol. If you want to learn more about me and my protocol for what we do for autoimmunity, I invite you to join our Facebook group, Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally. At the time of this recording, we have over 60,000 in that Facebook group community, and it's a wonderful place to get some trainings and case studies to learn more specifically about how you can be helped with your autoimmunity. If you're watching from YouTube right now, give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up, help us with the YouTube algorithm. That'd be really awesome. Otherwise, let's dig in and let's watch this interview and see where Sarah is today and how she got here. All right, Sarah, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Abukadr. I live outside of DC. I have 3 children. 2 are adults, one's in high school, and I work for the government.
All right, everybody. So Sarah is coming to us from hot, swampy DC. And my question is, what were some of the autoimmune diagnoses that you were struggling with? And let's go into those.
Okay, I was diagnosed in 2003, and I think I was lucky in the sense that I was diagnosed right away as soon as I started having problems. And I've heard that's pretty rare, but I was diagnosed with Sjogren's syndrome.
Well, what were the symptoms that got you that quick diagnosis?
I had had my daughter a year before.
Postpartum. This is what triggered it.
And every single symptom happened almost 6 weeks to the day after she was born. Mm-hmm. And then everything kind of like snowballed.
Same with me, Sarah.
And it was like the same time period right after you.
Postpartum, after each child was the autoimmune trigger shitstorm. That hormonal drop when we deliver a baby. We don't just deliver a baby, we deliver the placenta. And when we deliver the placenta, that's a huge sack of hormone making cells. Boom, gone. And that hormone shift down. I've been singing this from the rooftops, and you know this. These times of huge hormonal shifts for women or men is the time when that process of the plummeting or super fast rising hormones is what triggers autoimmunity for many people. So that happened to you. What symptoms?
I just kept getting these acute infections and I couldn't heal from them. I kept getting eye infections and I was always sick. I was very run down. And finally I was like, you need to give me some blood tests. We need to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And they thought I had fifth disease at first. And then as soon as he got the blood test, he was like, I think it's an autoimmune issue. I think you might have lupus. Then he sent me to a rheumatologist. And then I got these diagnoses right away.
So 20 years you've struggled with this Sjogren's diagnosis. And then besides Sjogren's, what else?
Hypothyroid, Raynaud's. And then recently in the past year and a half, many years, possibly. And that was just based off symptoms.
Okay, so let's give a little background here. When did you end our program?
In February of this year.
So this is a graduate who graduated 4 months ago. So you guys get to see just really early where she is now, because I tell everybody our program, our 2-month online program, Transform Autoimmune Disease Naturally, is a launch pad to a full year plus of autoimmune turnaround and early. So this is just 4 months later. I want you guys to see where she's at, but let's go through where you were. What were your top symptoms before you joined the program? Because you finished 4 months ago, so you joined 6 months ago. Where were you 6 months ago?
I had really severe dry eye and mouth.
And called it what, level 8 out of 10?
I'm wearing contacts now. I could only wear contacts for maybe a few hours at a time.
Severe dry eyes, level 8 out of 10. Big impact on your work life, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Definitely. Were you still getting a lot of eye infections or abrasions in your eye?
No.
Okay. Just dryness. And then dry mouth, correct? What kind of impact did dry mouth have on you?
I can't go without water. It has to be with me at all times.
Did it impact your swallowing or your eating?
It does. I'm so used to it. I don't even think about that. But of course I have to have water.
Yeah, or you could choke.
Right, exactly.
That's what people don't realize. Like it is almost like every meal could be a life-threatening event for people with dry mouth.
It's so true.
We were just talking about last week on an interview. We did last week a training on voice loss, swallowing problems, dry mouth. And it was a huge response. And a lot of people don't even know it's autoimmune related, Sarah.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
You happen to have Sjogren's, but there's many people who don't have Sjogren's who have those symptoms. And then they're being told that it has nothing to do with their autoimmunity. It's in their head or something. And it is a really common symptom of any autoimmune disease. You don't even have to have Sjogren's to have that symptom or those kinds of symptoms. So besides Sjogren, you said hypothyroid Raynaud's. How did that have an impact in your life?
Well, it's more discomfort. Raynaud's can be extremely painful.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
I would jump into the bath almost every night when it got pretty severe.
And Raynaud's, everybody, is autoimmune attack against the blood vessels, causing constriction of those blood vessels. So you have no blood flow to your fingers or toes, causing extreme paleness of them and then pain. A lot of doctors don't even know that's autoimmune. They don't even know about this. So how many of you out there watching know now it's, oh my God, that's Raynaud's. That's an autoimmune attack against blood vessels. And Sarah, people don't even know that.
And I have so many friends who have it and they have no idea what is going on with them.
Your freaking autoimmune disease is what it is, friend. And you're educating hundreds of thousands of people by talking about this right now because they don't know what Raynaud's is. They don't even know what autoimmune disease is. Yet every time they hit a little bit of cold, the tip of the fingers turn white and it hurts like hell. But this was turning into something big because you had told us that when you started the program that this was turning into full-blown POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So people don't know what the hell POTS is.
I didn't.
Can you tell me what those symptoms were so we can educate people who are listening so they start realizing how POTS is a really common autoimmune set of symptoms?
Sure.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I had no idea what was going on, but out of the blue, I started getting this like almost painful heartbeat.
Yeah.
And then it would go away, but it was almost like a shock.
Yeah.
And
it skips a beat or beats,
yeah,
or it goes super fast, pauses, and then boom, it comes back.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was really scary. It never happened to me before.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was like, okay, things are really starting to snowball. And I had no idea what to do about it. So I had that going on. And then sometimes after I ate, my heartbeat would get really fast.
Yeah.
And I'm eating like a balanced meal too. This is nothing crazy. So I'd have to lay down and do deep breathing just to get things under control again. It's also very scary.
It is, because
those are scary symptoms.
But the thing is, it's not just the irregular heart rate. That can go with dizziness. It feels like vertigo. It can cause you to basically not just that pressure in your chest, but you can faint. And the thing is, were your physicians or anybody around you able to even tell you that this is likely POTS, which is an autoimmune disorder?
No, I didn't go to any of my physicians asking. I went to your Facebook group and then people started talking about tachycardia. And I was like, okay, this is making sense. This is what's happening to me. And it was actually quite a relief that I wasn't about to have a heart attack.
You know what? It's really interesting, Sarah, because out in the community, POTS is considered a cardiology, like a heart problem, right? So people are being sent to the cardiologist. They run all sorts of testing to diagnose whether they fulfill the criteria to have it or not. There's really not much they can do about it because it's not a cardiology issue. It is an autoimmune issue. And so all cardiologist does is throw blood pressure meds at it to try to slow the heart. But imagine if you already have irregular heart rate, dizziness, and vertigo, and then you give meds that, yes, slow down the heart, but also drop blood pressure. What's going to happen?
Mine's already low. That wouldn't be good.
It's not good. People get worse. And then people say, oh, there's nothing I can do. And then they send them to Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins, which basically is the same thing. And then they come to us after that. And the interesting, sad truth about POTS is it is an unsolvable problem in the conventional world. Okay. So I'm curious with you, POTS, you told us that your symptoms was about 8 to 9 out of 10. Big impact between the heart, chest stuff, and the dizziness and vertigo, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Gone. Unheard of in conventional medicine. Dizziness is gone. How's the irregular heart rate?
That is gone too. It's happened once in months.
Once in months versus every single day, everybody.
I'm eating without having palpitations.
Okay. So eating normally.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about where's your dry eyes and dry mouth. Now people talk about Sjogren's and that's huge. For you, that was like an 8 out of 10 symptom. What number would you say just 4 months later is your dry mouth and dry eyes? Because we do not see remission or regression with that clinically with conventional medicine.
I'd say it's about a 4.
Level 4, that's 50% less in just 4 months. Okay. What kind of impact has that had on your life?
My anxiety level has improved. And for me, that's probably the biggest part of it.
What was that
Luckily,
anxiety about?
just all of my health issues, the fact that it's improving.
I just think about anybody out there who is getting a diagnosis, any diagnosis, and I'm sure people watching can identify with this. When you're told you have Sjogren's, Raynaud's, and then hypothyroidism, and then later possibly POTS, well, how did that feed into your anxiety about yourself, your life?
It just scared me. And I was afraid that things were just going to keep getting worse and worse.
Yeah. How did that impact upon your relationships with others, that level of anxiety on a daily basis?
I don't share with everyone on a regular basis, including my family. I sat on it.
So you say that anxiety is much lower now?
Yes, much.
And it's because the symptom load is much lower.
Correct. And doing the program, you also have so much more hope for the future that things are just going to keep improving.
Because they are.
Because you have the tools.
Hashtag fact, they're improving. Your dry mouth, dry eyes was level 8 and now it's level 4, everybody. Fact. Okay. It's not just hope. I tell people we start the morning with hope. We end the day with data and results. Hashtag facts. Okay. So my question then is, people want to know, why were these outcomes possible in this program that is completely like a medical miracle when we look at the conventional world? Physicians have never seen this kind of rebound for dry eyes, dry mouth, POTS symptoms, Raynaud's. I didn't even go into Raynaud's. Where's your Raynaud's, by the way?
It's much better.
We don't see remission in Raynaud's, people. Okay. So what do you think is so different that you did that in this program that caused these results to be here that you couldn't get for the past 20 years working with all these other doctors? What were some of the linchpins that you think responsible?
It wasn't just one thing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It was learning what my food intolerances were.
Food sensitivities and food mapping. Okay, so let's stop right there for a second. Food mapping, something I created. It's very different than just food sensitivities because there's a lot involved with digestion, with gut healing, with understanding absorption and layers of liver and gut and all that. So there's a lot of pieces involved with food mapping. It's not just about food sensitivity testing. But you did note on food sensitivity testing that you had some very interesting results. What did you learn from there that was game changer for you?
I didn't have a lot of dairy, but I had to completely take that from my diet, and that helped a lot.
So you had the Christmas tree pattern?
I sure did.
So this is what I teach people, is how to actually understand the results. That was a pattern she had. I call it the Christmas tree pattern. And it clearly said what? No animal milk whatsoever, or even goat and sheep?
I can have goat and sheep.
This is really important because it's not all dairy. And how important is it for you guys out there on all these strict elimination diet to know, oh, it's just cow milk products? She could still have goat or sheep milk, cream, butter, cheese products. So that wasn't that hard when you have those other choices clearly based on data. Am I right?
It's an easy switch. You just have to know.
Goat butter's damn good. And you could do non-dairy butter also as well. So you made the switch. The biggest thing for you was dairy. Anything else that were surprises on the food mapping?
Almonds, which I was eating every day.
Okay, do you guys hear that? An almond is healthy. And almonds frequently a gluten-free substitute. Okay.
Especially in all like the mixes.
All the mixes.
All the crackers, all the bread.
So dairy, almond, anything else?
Beef.
Oregano.
And I think that might be it.
I hope people in the audience can see how specific these results are, because that particular list of things was very unique to you. Nobody else, when you went through the program, had that exact same list. And yet you've done this before. Had you done elimination diets or food sensitivity testing prior to this program?
I had.
Which one? Like the elimination or food
sensitivity? I did the elimination diet. I did the AIP diet.
Okay. Not easy.
It's not sustainable. It really isn't.
It's absolutely unhealthy to be on that long term. And did it help?
Short term, it did.
How long were you on it?
Just a few months. And then I couldn't keep it up.
Because it's actually incompatible with long-term life to be on that diet. And interestingly, you've now 4 months out, you've removed just really some almond, beef, oregano, and cow dairy product. How quickly did you notice some results?
Right away, especially with digestion.
Yeah, well, and that's part of food mapping. Really worked on digestion.
For me.
How quickly between digestion and food mapping were you able to get results? When you say right away, days or weeks?
Probably weeks.
Okay, within a couple of weeks, what happened? What did you notice?
My skin was better, probably from not taking any dairy, that's for sure.
Wait a minute, you didn't mention skin was one of your problems you associated with your autoimmunity, girlfriend.
It really wasn't. Like, it's not like I break out. It was just a better color.
Yeah, it's better color because we get a lot of rashes irregularity. Sometimes there's breakout, but puffiness too. Sometimes just puffiness in our face or skin. We don't even notice, oh my God, that's part of this autoimmune issue until it's gone. You're like, oh, I'm chiseled. My skin is good.
No, definitely. If you're eating the foods you shouldn't be, then it causes major inflammation.
So you noticed skin was improving. What else did you notice within those first couple weeks?
Digestion was much better.
When you say digestion was much better, what does that mean? What symptoms?
Any sort of discomfort I had after I ate. And I didn't realize that with the almonds because I was having like the mixes and I had been gluten-free, but that was a huge part of being gluten-free for me at that time.
So being gluten-free, you said, and being on AIP, you noticed that there was a lot of discomfort even in your gut as you were eating. You know, Sarah, people just don't realize how big digestion is one of the things that's fueling autoimmune disease. Did you?
I did not, no.
In all your years. And did you just see regular doctors or did you see some natural doctors or functional doctors prior to this program?
It had been many years, but I had seen a functional doctor previously.
Anyone ever address digestion?
No.
Okay. So you realized you had some digestive issues. What did you learn about your digestion? What was your problem with digestion?
A little bit of pain after I ate and an inflammation after.
So what was the problem with your digestion? What part was broken? This is important, everybody. I teach root cause. So maybe a little quiz putting you on the spot. That discomfort after you ate that you described, what did you figure out was the underlying cause? What was broken in your digestion?
Well, I needed some digestive enzymes.
Yeah, she had really poor pancreatic digestive enzymes was one of the things that causes food to stay stuck there. Because guess what? Do you know how many percentage of people with autoimmune disease actually genetically have digestion problems? Minimum, 90%, minimum. And nobody talks about this. And I'm like, why aren't people talking about this? And the thing is, it doesn't just impact upon that discomfort. Sarah, it impacts upon the digestion of food in general, you know, and food allergies and food sensitivities and infection. You talk about frequent infection. Guess what our first line of defense against infection is? Our digestion. So there's so many tie-ins with digestion that it's just literally, it's a holy grail, but it's missing from even functional medicine doctors. It's completely gone from regular doctors and their treatment, but it's also missing from functional medicine doctor standpoint. I think they're really missing the boat with autoimmunity, with missing many of these points with hormones we just talked about, but also with digestion. So you mentioned that digestion linchpin was you figured out those couple foods, not a lot. AIP, you're removing like 90 foods plus. She had to remove basically one food group and 3 other foods. That's it. But within weeks, you noticed that skin was better. Abdominal discomfort was better. When did you notice your dry eyes and mouth was improving?
Probably actually closer to the end of the second month because the program itself is a process of getting different results. So as soon as some of the other results were coming in and I was addressing them and I got the supplements I needed, that's when things really started to improve.
So POTS symptoms, that was a scary thing. What do you think?
That's really what tipped me off to do the program because I had actually spoken to someone early in the summer. And then I was like, oh no, this is going to be too cost prohibitive. And then as soon as I got the POTS symptoms and I read about people having that experience in the program, I was like, okay, it's time.
So that's interesting. We're going to go back to that, but POTS symptoms wise, because you don't mess with your heart, you don't mess with fainting. Because that can impact upon your ability to work, to drive, to take care of yourself and others. Your role as a professional, your role as a mother, your role as a person. So that to you was the ringing red bell that was like, Sarah, you have to do something about this now.
It was.
Okay. What do you think was the linchpin to help the POTS symptoms really turn around? How quickly did it happen? What were the linchpins?
I don't really know which one it was because it really stopped fully after the program.
Just done. That's 2 months, people. 2 months, POTS symptoms gone, done. That's unheard of. So
I would say it was like a combination of everything.
Yeah.
You know what? I feel like the blood sugar balancing played a huge role with that one.
100%. It's not a cardiology problem. It's an autoimmune and blood sugar issue. Booyah.
Yeah. And I learned later on too. Usually I was just eating 3 meals a day. And then I didn't notice that my heartbeat was starting to race before I'd have lunch or before I'd have dinner because I was going 5 hours and with no snacking. I never snacked.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people think they're eating healthy, but that doesn't mean they have blood sugar mastery. And
I still struggle with it.
Yeah. But you're doing so much better. Your symptoms are gone. But do you know how many people come in the program saying, I got blood sugar licked. I don't need your help with it. A lot of people come in like, I got that. And then they come out and saying blood sugar was the linchpin all the time. You hear this all the time. And you hear those wins in the calls. There are
Yeah.
video modules that we talk teaching about what is
Yes.
blood sugar mastery, the biochemistry behind it, the science behind it, and then the solutions as well. And then the other piece is the educational process also continues in the live mastermind calls. So we have nutritional mastermind calls where several times a week, we are actually meeting with the nutritionist to actually go over specifically food journals, recipes, food sensitivities. How am I going to do that? Because I can imagine somebody's, oh, beef, that's what I eat all the time. Now I can't do beef. I can't do any protein. And there's 99 other sources of protein you can eat instead. Was that a big problem for you shifting from beef?
Not at all.
Yeah.
I can have buffalo and bison, which I just had this weekend. So that was fine. For me, after I did the food intolerances, even though I had to take out a few things, I felt so much more comfortable about all the things I could eat.
I love that. That's a big mindset shift.
Especially nightshades, because I love nightshades, but they're really discouraged when you have autoimmune issues.
Do nightshades matter for you?
Not at all.
Hello. I hate these generalized diets that are personalized to no one. And I actually teach people how do you find out nightshades don't matter for you? Because it does matter, but maybe for about 10-15% of the population or less. So why they recommend that for everybody with autoimmune disease, I cannot tell you. That's ridiculous. Everybody with autoimmune disease don't have a sensitivity to nightshades. Some people do, and I teach you how to know the difference.
And there are several of them. So eliminating all of them is very unnecessary unless you need to.
Exactly. I agree. Okay. So let's go back to this. Why did you almost not join the program?
Just the cost.
Okay.
I thought it sounded great.
You thought it sounded great, but the cost didn't sound great to you.
I was like, I can probably still handle this.
Yeah, I can deal with this. It's not worth that price yet. What shifted it for you? What caused you to change?
The pot symptoms.
Yeah.
They're terrifying. And I was like, I don't have this under control and I need some help.
So you got to the point where symptoms became terrifying and life altering. And that's when you said, nothing is worth this. Okay. And now that you've done the program, because you're reflecting on the cost or the investment. And my question for you is, what do you think about now that you've done the program, know where you are right now? What do you think of the return on investment of that cost for you?
I think it's absolutely worth it.
For someone who has life-altering symptoms, what if they don't have life-altering symptoms yet?
I think anyone who wants to improve their health, it's worth it for them.
And why?
Because it's a very small investment into your future, into your health, into your life.
I feel that way, but I think it's interesting that, I always like to ask people what their perceptions were before the program and what the perceptions is after. Because, Sarah, I've invested a ton to learn and educate myself to save my own life. And then now to be able to share and teach this. But for me, I feel like I'm a teacher first and a doctor second. And I think anybody who works in education, teachers and people will tell you that when you actually invest in education, whether that's for your child, for yourself, it's always pennies on the dollar in return. Because it's giving you the tool set with which you can use it for the rest of your life. And people see that for education for their kids, but they don't see that for the fight for their lives, for their health. And I think I'm really serious. This is a master's degree in turning around autoimmunity. And I want to ask you that point. What do you think of the education that you had to do during this program? How would you rate that education and how that process was for you?
I enjoyed that part so much. All the modules were very interesting. It was a lot more work than I anticipated.
Good.
But I learned a ton and I keep going back and watching them over and over.
I love that.
I'll continue to do that.
And that's the thing for me is I think education is a lifelong process. And for me, it is. I'm continuing to learn and I continue to also upgrade the modules as we go. The modules this year is not the same as last year. It's not the same as 4 years ago. I am constantly learning and adding and taking that lifelong education and putting it right into the modules and directly into our training sessions. Digestion was not part of our program 4 years ago. It was not even part of discussion in autoimmunity 4 years ago.
Wow.
I know. Imagine that. And still, it is not part of any program in autoimmune disease, except ours. Isn't that interesting? You're like, digestion made a big difference.
It's shocking. It made a huge difference for me.
Okay, question. What was your favorite thing about the program? Anything. What was your favorite thing about working with us with the program?
I think the community is huge.
Tell me about that.
Just being on the Facebook group, everyone has different experiences, but they're all the same as well.
I know.
And
And
get a lot of encouragement.
this is the Facebook group that's for people in the program. This is different from our main Facebook group. This is for people in the program. There's also currently, you're part of our alumni Facebook group, right?
Mhm.
So this is what Sarah's talking about. One of the things people come in with, and I'm sure a lot of people watching, is they think they're a super special rare zebra, or they have a very unique case of lupus 1034.9 underwater upside down. That whole I'm a super special rare zebra and no one can help me is reinforced by their doctors who's like, I don't know what to do with you. So people get very isolated and they feel more and more alone. Number one, you mentioned part of the community was having a Facebook group community during the program and afterwards of people who've going through the same thing. Number two was you recognize in going through this program with others, just no matter what the diagnosis is, there are so much more similarities than there are differences.
Mhm.
How big was that point for you? How important was that?
It was really important because, of course, when I went in, I was like, I don't know if she's going to be able to help me. This might be beyond her scope.
What the hell? Really? You thought that?
Yes, and I doubt
girl, do you know how many case studies we have published right now? We have over 200 alumni case studies of every autoimmune disease and symptom on the planet with people with results as big or bigger than you and with problems the same, if not worse than you. So I think it was funny. You came in and you were still wondering if I could help you. Why is that?
I think probably a lot of other people feel the same way, only because we've had these symptoms for so long, or these
it's about your own hope.
And it's never improved.
It's about your own hopelessness based on your past experience.
Absolutely.
So was it hard to believe that this was possible? Because I'm sure you watched an interview just like this in the group or from Facebook or YouTube.
Once we started the masterminds, I started believing right away, even before we got my information.
So even before your data, you said it really was when you jumped in and had your first live session watching me teach.
Exactly, because other people had just as many issues as me. And you're going down the list with whatever test results came in and people were getting better.
The results. I love that. Okay. So next, what's something you learned about yourself that surprised you?
I was surprised at how much I loved the educational piece of it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How come?
I really enjoyed it. And the modules were interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were very well done. They were interesting. I enjoyed that part of it. I enjoyed having our pod meetings.
Let's talk about the pod meetings. What was that? Just for everybody to know, we have the big community of people in the program, but we also have people that are starting each week. And those are people that is in your pod. And the pods meet every week with a coach. So describe that experience and why it was such a big deal for you.
The big deal was that you always have to be accountable for where you are in the program.
Yeah. Accountability. And for me, I like the idea of a face-to-face micro community also.
Mm-hmm.
So it's accountability. But the other thing is just for people out there to know is that most of our pods continue to meet even after the program to some degree or another. So that support and a micro community continues. And for a lot of people, it's where a lot of friendships or lifelong support keeps going on.
And your results come in at the same time. So it's nice to bounce everything off each other too.
I love that. So. Yeah, we have many doctors helping each other out.
That's exactly how it is. It's really helpful.
Yeah,
and it's encouraging.
I love that. Okay. And then finally, who would you recommend this program for and why?
I would recommend this program for anyone who has any health issues, even if it's not autoimmune, because the things that you learn could help anything, not necessarily just an autoimmune disease.
Great. And then finally, you know what? I love this question. People see me up front like this, and they don't see me in the back teaching this and delivering this program. What is something after you've been working with me for several months? What is something about learning from me or interacting with me behind the scenes that surprised you or you think would be surprising to people in front of the program that don't know anything about me or the program? What was something about that interaction that was surprising for you and you think for people up front?
I was surprised about the masterminds. I didn't realize that you were going to have such a big role every week and in going through everyone's results. I didn't know if you had a team of other doctors who were a part of this as well, but you really do have your hand in every piece of everyone's recovery.
I'm like, I know you. I'm like, I know you. I know a good melon.
And that's also, you're also more accountable when you're going back every week.
I hold myself personally accountable. And then also the consistency of you guys meeting with the same coach, same doctor. I think that's important in accountability for you too, because there are times you've heard me say to somebody, I need you to go back and review that and come back next week and be ready to troubleshoot again or teach it. And they do. So it's like next week you're coming back. So you've seen people like, I did go over that module and here's what I know and but perfect. Because there's accountability there. This is a training, master level training session. I love that. Oh, what's something that you can do right now effortlessly that even 6 months ago you thought was impossible?
I can wear my contacts for more than 2 hours at a time.
Congratulations, Sarah.
Thank you.
I want to thank you for taking your time to do this interview for us. And that was really generous of you. And thank you for all the shares.
Thank you for everything.
Wow, that was an amazing interview. And I really want to thank Sarah for that. So I really want to highlight the fact that having dry eyes and dry mouth go from a level 8 to 4 is unheard of in conventional medicine. It is considered a medical miracle. I also want to point out her Raynaud's is better. We just don't see remission with Raynaud's at all without tons of medications that don't even work. Okay. And finally, her pot symptoms, she said was gone within just a couple of weeks, gone, kaput, gone. Who has heard of their POTS being gone just within a couple of weeks? Nobody. You're not going to get that out of any other medical clinic, even specialty programs for POTS, because it doesn't work. It is simply not an autoimmune approach. That was so awesome because we shared what were the linchpins in POTS, in Raynaud's, and Sjogren's that really, really work in this interview. If you know somebody who could benefit from learning more about these diagnoses or the solutions, I would love for you to share this video on your timeline, give it a thumbs up and a like, or put their name in the comments, because you know what? I want you to share and raise awareness with me. My mission is to make sure that this video gets over 1 million views within the next 12 months to raise awareness for us all in dealing with autoimmunity. Thanks, everybody.